Hello YouTubers, glad you could join me here. From my last video I had taken my Vivo diesel heater and I had mounted it onto the wood platform in my truck, and as I had mentioned in that video, I was going to be looking at changing that into different positions because there was some things about it I didn't like. One of the biggest drawbacks to the way I mounted it originally was that the space I lost due to the heater being on the wood, and it also made it difficult to work around that. Moving things around, getting my boat would be there to get out and everything, because I'd be afraid of knocking the fuel line. So anyway, without any further ado, I have made some renovations, moved it a bit into a different place. I've purchased a bracket off of Amazon, which I'll put in the link below here so that anyone interested in that bracket will know where to find it. And yeah, with any further ado, I'll show you what I did. So originally, my diesel heater was sitting right here. You can see the screw marks that I had, and if you look at the positioning of that put it pretty much right down the center of the bed of my truck. It didn't affect the boxes I had on the right hand side of the truck over here, and it didn't affect the water that I had over on the side of the truck here. So I purchased this bracket, as I mentioned, and the bracket is here. It's a really neat bracket. You can it has a long side to this bracket, and it has a short side, which is what the actual heater is sitting on. So it gives you some versatility as to for mounting purposes. I had thought about mounting it on the side of the truck right here with that particular bracket. With a spacer in behind it, it would have been able to have that diesel heater sitting straight onto the truck, and that would have been a good idea. However, that meant that I would have to take it on and off driving down the road. So I decided to go with this bracket, and I actually mounted it, as you can see here, to a U-channel that I had mounted to the underside of the frame, the RCI frame that is sitting there. So mounting it there, it had a lot of good stability to it, so it was a very stable mounting. But it did move, and did tend, because the weight of the heater is sitting, the weight of the heater is sitting, there's nothing on this side to brace it up. And although it was sturdy, it looked like going down the road I was going to get some movement out of this. So by mounting the exhaust the way I've done it here and bringing it out underneath, and actually using a clamp, thanks to a good friend of mine who suggested this, and mounting this here, now the exhaust is exhausting out the back. It will not affect my awning, or the addition that goes onto the tent, because the addition comes here and fits very much down here, but this exhaust won't be in the way. And normally I will not be using that addition. I don't plan on using the addition when I go out in the winter time or in the conditions where I will be needing the heater to run. But by doing this and having this solidly mounted to here, this end moves, but this doesn't move at all, and putting some pressure on this, pushing it backwards, it actually acted like a reverse strength member here, because there's force on it pushing it this way, which means that with this bend on here, it's actually pushing up on here. So very much like having something here, and the movement is very, very slight. So it really did work well. Now with having the hose the way it is here, the first night I used it, when it was stuck on the bed of the truck over here, in here, I used this, and I had far too much hose. This was a 9-foot hose that I had purchased, and I ended up with far too much, but it does give me some versatility. It comes up now, up through here, and will go into the tent window, which sits, actually the window sits roughly about here. So it gives me lots of versatility. That's the window side. In the back of the unit, when the tent is folded out and folds towards us, that has enough hose that it will come along towards us and go up into the entrance. But of course, when you do that, you're going in and out of the tent. The hose is now moving. I have noticed that on Amazon they have or you can purchase from Amazon or eBay or Etsy, some of these other places, these they're like a wedge that fits into the around the zippers, and the end of the hose fits onto that so that it's a little more secure. But I didn't have any problems. I might purchase one later on and do that. Now the only problem, well, not the only problem, but the only thing with the battery is the way this is set up now. The battery, when I'm using it, will actually sit over here, and again, by doing that, it will also hold up the heater. I'll demonstrate that right now. So as you can see, with the battery sitting there, the battery block sitting there, it actually pushes against the heater or rests against the heater, so there's no movement. If I driving down the road, I have the battery there, it's great. If I move the battery to over here, it doesn't matter, because again, the way the setup is sitting there, everything works well. The actual fuel system for this worked a lot better the way I had it now. Before, I had the pump, this pump here, sitting on the actual wood again, and the way it was, it was stuck down. So even if I moved the heater out of the way, I was still having to unscrew that. So by bolting the fuel pump to the same wood that I have the fuel tank sitting unbraced in, it means that now I can move that around at will when I want to. So if I have to move the fuel tank out of the way to get something out of the truck, or position some things, I can actually do that. I can move that forward. The hose is long enough. I've left enough of a fuel line so that it does give me the opportunity to move this a bit around. Of course, not too far, because too much hose means it's harder for the pump to work and not good. There is some room in behind. Right now I've got room in behind the fuel tank. I can store some small things, but I still have enough room left in here. I mean, that's my boat sitting there that of course in the winter time I won't use. So if I remove that, I've got lots of room for winter camping. Leaving it in there now, because of the way it's all set up and the way it was set up, it doesn't make any difference either, because I still have an awful lot of room to go. The containers right now sitting in here are empty. They just, but like I said, lots of room there. And I decided to add a tarp to the whole outfit, so that when I take my hose and sorry, I'm gonna position the battery back there, take the hose, slide the hose in there. Now I can take the tarp that I have added to keep the moisture off that, and you can see I have the netting on top of the tarp. That netting on top of the tarp stops that from flying out. I had to put some hooks at the front of this to stop the tarp from flapping up. When I was going down the road, what would happen is air would get in from the front of the truck and lift the tarp up over the tailgate, and it would be sitting there flapping. I got a few people on the road pointing and letting me know it wasn't going to go anywhere, but they didn't know that. So I actually did damage this corner here with that happening. So one of the things I did find, that interestingly enough, that the wind pushed down on top, come over the top of the truck and pushed down on top of here, which then pulled this part tarp this way, pushed it that way. So put a carabiner through the eyelet here around the front, just to lock this into the seat. In my case, I mean, you could have anything here, and then put a bungee cord to keep the seat from popping up. And even if the seat does pop up a little bit, which there's quite a lot of pressure that I've got here, that's not going to happen. But even if that does happen, the carabiner is going to into the eyelet of the tarp, is not going to allow it to move back. So yeah, it was it's been quite a go. There's a couple of things still that, you know, I even got to this point. There's still some things I want to change. I've just purchased some of those quick and easy clamps that where you clamp on here to the heater. This one uses the regular screw mechanism. I have purchased one that you can use by hand, so that I can actually, if I want to, then take this off and I can store this properly away and see how that goes, because it does fit on there very, very good and very snug. So we'll try that, and that'll be the next iteration. I'm still working with the batteries, the battery power for these, even though this is I have in here a battery, a deep cycle battery that I use for the boat, for the little electric motor that I have. And it's, interestingly enough, I don't know whether it was just because the battery wasn't fully charged or not, but it seemed to take more power than I expected. A lot of people are using those lithium-ion rechargeable packs, and I do have one of those for backup. I have an Everflow River, and it is quite a nice piece of kit. I highly recommend them. There's many different ones on the market. Price is always a consideration for many people, but I like mine, had no problems. It has the 12-volt connector on it. It has your, this is the battery pack. It does have a 12-volt. It also has USB-A, fast charge, and of course you can plug in 24 volt AC. You can plug in an AC plug to that battery pack. So I keep that as a battery backup, and I'll always use this for the heater. No problems whatsoever with that. So thank you for watching. Like I said, in the link, description, I'll have a link to any of the items that I have shown here, and we'll catch you on the flip side.